And today I'm going to take you on my creative journey to make a quilt out of a panel, a quilt panel. So I don't know if you're like me and you have a whole big stash of Christmas fabric that someday you're going to do something with. Well, this is mine right here. I pulled it all out and I've been going through it. And in the middle of it, I found this awesome truck panel. And I decided that I want to make something with it this year. And my daughter, she decided that she would like to have a Christmas quilt and that we're going to decorate her room for when her sister comes home. We'll have some Christmas quilts on their beds. So come join us and we'll see what we do with it. Okay, so I went through all of my Christmas fabric and I found some more truck fabric, this one and this one. I decided I'm going to do this for my binding of my quilt. I don't have a lot. And then this one, I decided I'm going to do big sections at the top and the bottom to give it some of the length that it needs. So I really would like to see this be like a 90 by 90 inch quilt so that it can come down along the sides of the bed. So with this one, I just love this one, but I'm just going to do like a teeny tiny little, maybe like 1.5 inch strip along. And then this one, I love the flowers and the leaves that are going down. So I'm gonna cut some of that. This one I cut in 5 4-inch strips. That's what I did. So I'm gonna do that around. And then I've got some plaid to just add in there somewhere. So I'm going to go ahead and do some math and add it all up and see what I can do. So I'll let you know. Okay, so I went ahead and measured this and I have 30 inches to work with. And so I decided that I'm going to use this for some of my width that I need. So I'm going to go ahead first and trim off the selvage, and then I'm going to cut, I want these strips to be going this way. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cut 2 6-inch panels. Okay, so I'm just going to be ironing up these really quick, the strips that I cut. Just trying to get all of the creases out so I can sew it on. I really love my ironing board. I don't know if you can see over here, but it's got a little slot here at the end, and I like just sliding it down. This is an extra wide ironing board that I got over at Walmart, which I absolutely love how it's extra wide. It works really, really nice when you're making quilts and stuff, because it just gives you that extra space to work with. And there, of course, it's Walmart, it's really affordable. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and iron up my quilt panel. Okay, now that it's all ironed, I'm going to go ahead and pin on the strips. Okay, so something I did just see is as I'm lining it up that my panel goes a little bit longer than my strip that I cut. So I am going to go ahead and I'm going to sew all of my strips together, and that way I will have the length that I need. So I'm going to go and sew them all together right now. When you're creating your own pattern, you're going to find that you're going to have to do adjusting along the way when you see things like that. When you see that you have a little bit shorter fabric than what you need, then you're going to have to adjust and do some creative footwork, some little handiwork. So I'm going to take the 2 strips and just do a 1/4 inch seam allowance. I'll just keep going down and I'll add them all on together. Okay, now I'm gonna go sew my, so I'm gonna go iron my seams to the right. I like to think through it and think how this is gonna go in the sewing machine, and this end down here. So this end down here is the end that is actually gonna go through the sewing machine first, because your fabric is gonna be going to the left. So I'm going to put my short amount of fabric at the end down here, and then the excess will be hanging off at the end. So I do have a lot of strings right here. I could trim them off now, or I can trim them off afterwards, whatever is more convenient for you. When using your ironing board, you do have to pick it up so it doesn't hook into your ironing board cover. So now I'm going to go ahead and sew on the first strip on the side. Okay, now that that's all sewn on, we're going to take our measuring stick and line everything up and trim it off. So we've got the first side sewn on. Now we're going to go ahead and pin it on the next side. Okay, we'll put right sides to right sides and pin. Now we'll go ahead and go sew it. Okay, now we'll go trim this edge off. Okay, so after it's lined up, I want to line it up with the seam right here and along with the edge, so I get a nice cut. Okay. So let's see how it's looking so far. Okay, there, now you can see both sides and how it looks so far. So now we're going to put an edging along the top and the bottom to frame it in. Okay, so I just had someone ask me where I got my fabric from, and this truck panel, it came from Missouri Star Quilt Company, and you can go online and search that up and see if they have any more. So now I'm working on my third side, pinning it on. So again, I'm just starting right here at the end, and I'm pinning it over my sides. I like to do the sides first and then do the bottom and the top last. That's just the way I like to do it. You can do it however you like to do it. Okay, now we are sewing up our third side of our panel. Okay, now we'll go and trim off the edge. Now our last side, the top. So here we have our last side, and we're just gonna line it up, cut it off. Now we're gonna take it over and we're going to press it all. Now that we have our sides done, we're gonna go ahead and press towards the dark. Okay, so I want to show you something. See how this right here is kind of folded up? I will actually take scissors and just snip it right here so that I can still fold it towards the dark. So I'll just take my scissors right here. You just go right in. Okay, so then that way it'll actually fold over. Okay, and if you see little strings along the way, you can grab them and just trim them off. I like cutting the strings off because once you put the batting in, sometimes the strings can actually be seen through if you have a light fabric. So that's something to be cognizant about, is making sure that you've got your really long strings all cut up and trimmed. So I really like the way this ended up. This is 46 inches by 54 inches, and it's about the size of like a lap quilt. And I'm gonna go ahead and leave it like this. It's like it's a big border around my panel, and it would be beautiful to even just hang up. So there's different ways you could finish this up. You could put batting and then a back, and you can go have it quilted somewhere, or you could do it yourself, or you could even tie it. So, but this is just a quick way how you can put a panel quilt together. So as you can see, as we went along our journey of making a quilt with my panel that I chose today, you go through lots of different thought patterns of, do I want to make a twin quilt, a little baby quilt, or a lap quilt, and just to see what it ends up being. And at this point, I decided that I wanted to make it a lap quilt. I really liked the way it ended up, because then since I'm making a lap quilt, I can also use it as something I can hang on my wall for a wall hanging, which I originally bought this panel because I thought it'd be really cute hanging up. So as you go along your creative line, you're using your creativity, you're gonna have fun and just be creative. And when you go through this process, it brings you joy, and it is so much fun. So I hope you have fun finding a panel that you really like and adding some strips to it, or maybe you can add some quilt squares to it. There's so many things that you can do with them. So just be creative
and have fun. So thanks again for joining me today on Creating Joy.